Hi, so you have come to the conclusion that you cannot have one of your team members in the team anymore. Maybe they don't meet the productivity standard in your team and are too slow. Or consider a developer who consistently leaves work half an hour earlier than the rest. You tried to resolve the issue, but haven't succeeded, and you see that issue as something you're not willing to take. What do? The first thing you must do is make sure they understand the problem and its severity. You can't just schedule a meeting with someone and tell them surprisingly they're fired. There is some preparation that needs to be done, and that is done by making sure they understand there is a problem and its severity. Even if eventually you won't dismiss them, they should know you're very unhappy with them. Next, you'll have to answer a crucial question. Is this something I'm ultimately willing to accept, or is this something I'll dismiss the person in question for? This is crucial because if you tell that person to stop over and over and escalate it and tell management, etc., and they still don't stop, realizing there's nothing more you can do while they continue their behavior sends a message that, if you don't do as I say, I will threaten you, but that's really all I'll do, which obviously does not serve you. Hence, you'll have to decide right up front if you're willing to escalate it if the issue will not be solved, and how far you are willing to go. If the person that leaves early is someone you can't fire for any reason, you can still tell them what they're doing is not acceptable, but don't tell them or even imply that there will be consequences when you know there won't be. Okay, so you told them, they understand, but still nothing happens. Next stage, as I already mentioned in a previous lesson, is having a meeting with that developer, but this time you may also send the summary of that meeting to your manager and HR with a copy to that developer, which will help clarify the importance of the issue to your developer. If that is still not enough, you'll have to take a tough decision. Should I dismiss this person? There are 3 basic considerations, in my view, to answer that question. The first is the cost-benefit consideration. The costs include what the company will have to pay them, the fact they probably won't put much effort in their last days at work, the reduced productivity of your team while you're looking for a substitute, the time and effort you'll have to invest in order to find a new hire, the time it takes to onboard a new developer, and the chances that the new hire will not be as good as the current one. Those are some of the costs associated with dismissing. On the other hand, the benefits are you will get someone else who may be better than the current one, and your team will understand that some behaviors are not acceptable. The second consideration you should make is a moral or cultural one. There are firms where employees work for years, although they can be easily and cheaply replaced with better ones, because the firm cares about its workers and doesn't want to dismiss them if they don't want to go. Here, I can't help you. As I said, it's a moral and cultural thing. One insight that I would like to share with you, however, is that you may want to be moral by not letting go of someone because you feel sorry for them. But just remember that making the firm pay their salary when you know they're not worth that salary is also a moral argument. Okay, last consideration. You'll have to think if whatever the problem is, it can be fixed in a decent amount of time. If someone has some technological gap, that may mean you would want to dismiss them, but it could be that if you'll invest in sending them to some course and giving them some tasks that will improve their technological level, this will solve the problem. And the question you would want to ask yourself is, are you willing to wait and invest whatever it takes? Here I have advice for you, but it's only for new recruits. If a new recruit is not performing well enough, and you gave them a second and third chance and it still doesn't work, you'll probably be better off hiring someone else instead. Trying to fix deep problems people have while expecting them to produce decent outcomes is next to impossible. And doing that with someone who hasn't proved themselves usually doesn't make a lot of sense. Unlike when some developer who has been on your team for a long period of time is having issues. So if you note a significant issue with a newcomer to the team, I suggest you fire fast and not invest more and more time in trying to solve the issue. Okay, you made all the considerations, you talked with the person, and nothing helped. You need to tell them they're being dismissed. Let's talk about that meeting. First of all, as I already mentioned, this should not be a surprise. They should be aware that this may happen because you gave them feedback where you made it clear for them that you're not happy with things they are doing, which should make the task of dismissing them easier for you. Like any feedback meeting, you should come to this meeting prepared with facts as well. You should present them to the person you're dismissing. You should talk about the opportunities you gave them to improve, and you should explain to them that you can't continue working with them. It should be clear that this is nothing personal. They just don't meet some of the requirements of the workplace. And that also doesn't mean they won't succeed elsewhere. And I really encourage you to wish them much luck and to make it clear that you think they're not a good fit for your team, but they may be a great fit for some other team. In other words, the fact you're dismissing them doesn't mean they're not good developers. It just means that they don't fit in your team. Prepare for the possibility that they'll be defensive and try to make everything you say seem like marginal or temporary issues. By now, you should have heard all their claims, which is why what they're saying shouldn't change your mind. I advise you to not get into arguments and just inform them that whatever they did make you believe they're not a good fit for the team or that their skills do not meet the team's needs. And whatever they argue won't change that. It doesn't mean that they don't have some strong arguments. It's just not enough to change your mind. If you're not going to reconsider it, don't give them the impression you are. Make them understand you already made up your mind, and it's final. Once this meeting is over, what happens changes according to your state's laws and the firm's procedures. Usually, they'll have some more time at the firm before they leave. Make sure they don't harm other developers' motivation, and if they do, it may be worthwhile to make them stay at home, even if the firm pays for those days until they officially stop working. These are the insights I've gathered over the years about dismissing employees. It's never fun, but it's a part of the responsibility. I'll see you in the next one.